Hi, my name is Martin Prast. I am Director of Business Development here at Spectralink. I would like to give you an introduction to our IP DECT infrastructure. And for us, when it comes to the IP DECT infrastructure, it's all about scalability and providing the right size of solution for the right type of customer. In this case, we have two kinds of solutions. We have the very small IP DECT Server 400, and we have the larger IP DECT Server 6500. If we start with the IP DECT Server 400, the functionality is around starting maybe at 2, 3, 4, 5 handsets and scale from there. The solution will offer you a possibility based on that to start with a single cell, very easy to configure, either via the very intuitive web GUI interface, or if it's more for hosted, based on provisioning. And with that, in the provisioning area for the hosted market, we actually provide an opportunity where you can actually remotely configure the devices based on a user file, a config file, and even firmware upgrades. The scalability with the solution then offers that you can buy a multi-cell license. And with the multi-cell license, you can scale the solution by adding more base stations, also based on IP. All of it supports PoE or Power Ethernet. So it's again very simple as part of the setup and configuration of the devices. User-wise, we can support up to 30 handsets on this solution. Even in a single cell, you can add up to 30 users. But most likely, it will be in a multi-cell environment that you scale all the way up to that. Solutions and functionalities, or features and functionalities around the solution, is all based on licenses. And this is why it's so important that you can start very low and you can grow the solution based on integration with telephony platforms or features, or even size with the users of multi-cell, based on these license functionalities. If you then want to scale it beyond the 30 users, or you need a larger geographical area to provide coverage to, you need to move to the 6500 server. The Spectralink IP DECT Server 6500 provides the opportunity to actually scale all the way up to 1,024 base stations, or up to 4,096 users. Or you can even do both. So it's not dependent on one or the other. You can actually mix in the functionality and the focus around both users and base stations. Also, what is very important is when you look at all the handsets I've set up here, all the DECT handsets that we have in our portfolio are supported by all DECT infrastructure platforms. So there's no limitations in regards to that. When we focused on the 6500, again, scalability is key. So you can start with a smaller installation of the 30 plus users, and you can add base stations up to the 1,024. When it comes to adding users, there is a certain expectation around how many speech channels you need available on the system. So as you grow your number of handsets or users, you also need to provide more speech channels. One IP DECT server in standard supports 30 simultaneous calls on the system. If you want to grow, you actually need to add a media resource. A media resource is an additional hardware. You either slide it into the 6500 as part of the available slots that we have here in the front, or if you need to scale it beyond that, we actually provide a similar cabinet only for media resources. Also with the IP DECT Server 6500, we actually offer redundancy or failover or backup scenarios. So you can actually buy an additional and have these running as a load balancing failover in order to provide uptime, especially because we often provide these type of solutions to critical environments like healthcare, psychiatric hospitals, prisons, or other.